tragedy do we go out, we go on march. One of my brothers over there, Gary, he's out there raiding, carrying the banner, showing who we are.
We're stuck in the migration system for 10, 15, 20 years. They've ignored them and they choose to maintain them, give them the crumbles from their tables. And then they blame them to say they are taking so much a day as refugees. And a reasonable person doesn't want to think about that condition. It's not the refugees. The refugees are able-bodied, allow them to work, and then they will fend for themselves. But the government, because they are making money, it's a business, they would rather keep them in and ignore them, and then recruit from abroad. What new skills are those people bringing that these people that you are housing in hotels in those accommodations that they can't do? It's just scare work. Anyone can.
Divided us, and the key thing today is we have to say we have to build a movement where we unite, because when we unite, we can push those things back. So this summer was absolutely horrendous. You saw, following the death of three of those young girls in Southport, that Tommy Robinson jumped out, spewing hate, spewing lies, and what we saw there. What we saw, town after town after town, was a far right that's very different than it's been for quite some time. It had a huge amount of confidence, and it was able to get out on town after town after town, street after street after street. But what you saw within a few days was that the people of Britain stood together, stood in their communities, and pushed that back. It wasn't like this in these rooms right up and down the country who took over our towns and took them back, and it pushed those fascists back under the cover, and that is absolutely what we need to be doing at these points. So it's to such an extent that even the Daily Mail and the Daily Express, who spent decades and decades and decades spinning that hate, pushing that hate, they had to put us up as heroes of our communities. So that shows the sort of hegemony that we were starting to gain. So who is their side and why we get in this position? Tommy Robinson is an absolute grifter. As well as pushing his rate hate, the only thing he does faster is tries to set up money-making schemes so he can fleece his people of that cash. And as soon as any kind of pressure came, he ran off to the hills, ran off abroad to an all-inclusive Greek resort. The only time he ever thinks the difference is what we've done decade after decade after decade. Dave mentioned Cable Street. And Cable Street is absolutely what we are looking at the moment. We've got to see all of our communities coming together and standing together to push those fascists back. The Irish community and the Jewish community absolutely stopped Mosley at that point. It wasn't the police were helping them. It wasn't the Parliament would have done absolutely the same. It's us getting out on the street which absolutely changes history. And whether it's the National Front in the 80s, what did we do? Exactly the same. We get out on the street and we fight and we push them back. Whether it was the BNP in the 90s.
Racism, and it shocks me. You know, here we have all colours, all races, all religions, and my parents always told me that you respect everybody, whether they're Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, Christian, whatever religion they are, you should respect them. And I always have, but when you see the hate coming from Tommy Robinson, I've seen his life, the way he's run his life, the way the hate comes out from him. It's shocking to see, and there's so many that actually back him and support him. And the way they came out in the streets, and just as the gentleman there mentioned, the way our streets were filled from people not wanting that, and showing that the streets are going to be run by us, and we're not going to let them come into our streets and do what they want. I've changed jobs and I'm actually become a Uber driver, and it is really good, by the way. And I picked up this lady. She's a teacher at a college. I won't name the college. It's on the outskirts of Coventry, and she was having a chat with me. She's from Coventry herself, and she was planning to do an interfaith program in this college, and she mentioned it to the actual year head of the actual college, and the year head said to her, he goes, "I don't think we should do that. I don't think the parents will appreciate appreciate that. And I couldn't believe that. And I said to her, listen, I think you should go ahead and do it. Because those, for example, the outskirts of Coventry, Leamington, you've got Sourdough and all these little places. Asians, for example, are not there, blacks are not there, and then kids growing up, they don't have a friend who is, you know, from a different race, different religion. So they don't actually get to know them kind of people. And I said to her, I think what you're doing is great, I think you should do it, and I will help you actually with this as well. And she said, I want to do it, but I'm not really getting a backing from the school. And I said, well, go ahead, if you can, try it, and if you want me to come in and speak as a Muslim, I will do that as well. I just couldn't believe that at school is not allowing someone to do something which every school should do and should be doing. And she said, she took my number and she said she'd get in touch with me. And it's just, in this day and age, racism still exists. I've grown up watching from the 60s with what happened in America, with Martin Luther King, all these videos. I'm a big Muhammad Ali fan. I used to watch all his videos. And to see the era they lived in the 60s, you would think we've gone past that. You think things have changed, but it's actually still there. Even in workplaces, you'll see, for example, I worked in certain places, even my previous job. Unfortunately, there's a level where you can go up to. If you're Asian or if you're black, I didn't see anyone higher up than the English. And I thought to myself, surely it's not, is it that we're not talented enough? Is it that we're not good enough? We clearly are. It didn't happen at that workplace, and there's many other workplaces where my friends work. They tell me this, that we're trying, we're working hard, we're probably doing better than the other person, but unfortunately we're just not being able to go in the actual workplaces. It's still happening in workplaces, it's happening all over our cities, all over the UK, and when you hear people like Farage speaking, and you hear Tommy Robinson, and then also, another thing as well, when you see the news as well, what you see in the news is something that they just want you to hear. And those who don't understand that, they think that's exactly what's happening, but it's not exactly like that. With the war, obviously, with Palestine, it's clearly the opposite. And those people who understand it realize what's going on is wrong. There should be no wars. For me personally, I think there should be no wars all over the world, not just Palestine. Palestine, what's happening is shocking and it's continuing. Still no end to it. And we pray that there is an end to it. But what we're here for is to work together. I'm willing to work with all of you, and we're here to unite, which is great to see. And I can't believe I'm sitting next to a Manchester United supporter. I am a Liverpool fan, and like I did say, I think you need a new manager as well. But on a serious note, it's very good to be here, and it's great to hear such great speakers. Also, Zara Sultana here. I've heard her speak on many occasions for Palestine, and I respect that. And it's good that someone from Labour actually does speak openly and doesn't care about what will happen to her, which obviously we see what's happened to her. But unfortunately, it's not good. But at least there is someone with a voice. At least there is someone speaking up, and that's what we need. We need people to speak up. Wherever you're from, whatever level you're at, whatever position you're at, everyone needs to speak up and fight for this. And if we have to come to the streets, we will come to the streets. With Coventry, it's going to be the same as Birmingham. We will not hide away. We will stand on the streets and we will protect our neighbourhoods. And that's how it should be.
Let you explain what that means, so it's got a meaning that people may not understand, and also give you a few minutes of your time to update us all. Thanks, Frankie. 5 minutes.
I was quite surprised that people wanted to hear from me because I don't play. And I'll understand if I don't get in my back. My message is really for, and then children will put you in. My message is really for the arseholes in Parliament and the arseholes on the street. Aldous Huxley, famous British philosopher, said, facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored. I think there's a lot of specific amnesia at play within the political parties, other parties, but also with the media playing people with misinformation. So I'm a group called Septimus Severus. A lot of people don't know, I've never heard of Septimus Severus, don't know who he is. Septimus Severus was the 13th Roman Emperor who ran Britain. And what you have today as modern Britain, such was his impact. Yeah?
He reformed the Roman Empire through its legal mechanisms and its administration. Yeah, but he was also a brilliant military strategist. Yeah, and ran loads of campaigns, expanded the Roman Empire hugely. Yeah, you'll see him outside lots of institutions in London, but people think, oh, that's all right, guy. Yeah, his mother is from what is now modern day Italy. Yeah, and his dad is from North Africa. If you Google him, you can read lots and lots about it. Anyway, and he's actually buried in York as well. So he's remains right here. Yes? And I asked yourself, why are we going to talk that in school? So, the situation with the economy. Once again, you hear people talk about there's a lack of resources. There is not a lack of resources, it's about intention. Basically, working class people will be exploited and continue to be exploited. And when people realise what's going on, the media, along with the politicians, the rich and powerful, have everything to get from this, will tell you it's those other people that are taking all our jobs. Yeah? It's them that are causing the huge backlog in the NHS. That's why you can't get a dentist. That's why there's a shortage of housing. Yeah? That's the crap that we're being fed. So, you need to remember, yeah, that this is racism on steroids, because we have now what called the new Terminator. Yeah? We have a new breed of rednecks, yeah? And those that is affecting just the everyday security of working people. Yeah? They are very dangerous people, and you've got to ask, who's behind them? Who's funding them? Who's resourcing them? Because what they've said is really inflammatory, and no one's shutting them down. Yeah? So you have to be aware of that. See the Tommy Robinson people, the ones that say we want our country back. So let me just speak to those people and deal with their specific need. Yeah? Britain came to us, we can come to Britain. I want a name back, I want a language back, I want a continent back. Yeah? My name is Frankie Williams. That is not my name. Yeah? I speak a foreign language. English, that is not my language. Yeah? I'm cut off, 500 years removed from the African continent. Nobody wants to deal with that. Yes, unfortunately, we're here, and we've got going on, and we're here to stay. We gave you gold, we gave you oil, we gave you copper, we gave you zinc, we gave you uranium, and we gave you cobalt. For those who don't know what cobalt is, all the electric cars that you see driving up and down, the hypocrisy in that is that that mineral is being mined by children. You went to the report, nobody wants to talk about that. Making a corporation.
And the absolute decimation and devastation of our working class communities by austerity. You've packed this room tonight because you all understand that we can't ignore this any longer. Racism is on the rise in the UK, and it's been normalised at the highest levels of media and politics. Yeah. The right-wing press and politicians have spent years, if not decades, demonising Muslims, migrants and people of colour, blaming them for the very problems caused by government cuts and corporate greed. From former Home Secretary Suella Braverman's hateful description of refugees as an invasion, to Nigel Farage's dangerous claims that British Muslims don't share British values, I could list all the things that he's done from the 2016 EU referendum and the post that he stood in front of. This racist rhetoric is sowing fear and division. I'm not sure if anyone in the room has missed it, but there's a Tory leadership race going on where they've all been trying to out-Enoch each other. The two leadership candidates, the two finalists, Kenny Badenoch and Robert Jenrick, also have a long track record of Islamophobic remarks. During Zach Goldsmith's Islamophobic notorious 2016 campaign to be Mayor of London, Kenny said, "Why should Sadiq Khan get a free pass from hanging out with extremists just because he's Muslim?"
It's a cover off in our local areas, in our local streets, on our city centres. But in addition to that, they know that for the first time we have a situation where they have 5 MPs, we've almost 5 MPs, 4 million votes they've got. They think they've got a voice in Parliament. They think that there's 4 million people that voted before. Well, Tommy Robinson wants some of those. He thinks they're his audience. That's what they think. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that we keep put under pressure, we platform because we represent the opposition. Let's be very clear.
And we spent 2 years in talking to people in different languages who don't speak English to. We've had to learn how to communicate, spread our messages into the languages that they understand. Also remember that English is not the first language, and we have to understand that there's a difference in how we talk and communicate. So we've learned in that time that we take everybody on board, of whatever skin colour, whatever nationality, and we've asked them to come forward as leaders and representatives of their own country. We want them people to feel inclusive in what's taking place in Coventry, and that's helped us to get our message out across a huge workforce of over 3,000 people. At one point, we were actually half the workforce prepared to step into a union. It wasn't an easy battle because we had to get people to overcome their fear